Seven Deadly Sins Origin is set to release in the second half of 2025, so here is everything that you need to know about Seven Deadly Sins Origin. And let's kick things off by talking about all of the gameplay features in the game, starting off with the two game modes that you can play, with the first one being the story mode, where of course you'll play through the story mode, there's nothing really else to say, and the second one being the open world mode, which is where you'll probably spend all of your time in, because this is where you'll explore the open world of Britannia and take on loads of various different bosses and also lots of different content like puzzles. And when you are playing the game, you'll be able to form a team of up to 4 different characters for you to use, who will all have different abilities and different roles that they will play in your teams, with every character also having 2 to 3 different skills that they can use in their kits, including their ultimate skill. And what is also quite interesting about a character's ultimate skill is actually how it specifically works, because in order for you to cast an ultimate skill, you need to spend these ultimate orbs in order for you to actually activate it. And in total, you'll have 7 different ultimate orbs that you can use, which is completely shared across your whole entire team, which you can see at the very bottom of your screen, so it's very easy to keep track of. Your HP and also your stamina gauge are also shared across your whole entire team as well, which you can see in the bottom left of your screen, with the green bar being your HP bar and then the blue bar being your stamina gauge. Another gameplay feature in Seven Deadly Sins Origin is going to be the fact that characters will also be able to use skills when they are switching in and out between each other, and in order for you to do this, you need to spend the blue meter in the bottom right of your screen, which you can see next to all of your character portraits. These can be used up to 3 times and will charge over time, and it does seem like they do charge up pretty quickly, so it does mean that you'll be able to use these sort of like switch skills pretty often, which should be pretty cool. And the skill that the characters seem to use is just their first sort of basic main skill that they do have in their kits. But then back onto your character's ultimate skills, and what is actually really cool about ultimate skills in this game as well is the fact that you can actually combine them together to further boost their damage and probably give new effects and also a new look. The way this essentially works is basically once you've used one of your character's ultimate skills, another character's ultimate skill icon will pop up above your previous one that you've just used, with also their character icons, which will then indicate to you that you can actually combo them together. And I think it will then allow you to press that ultimate skill again, which will also bring in the next character, who will then use their ultimate straight away, which will allow you to quickly combine them together to allow you to get all of those really cool effects. Another form of combo attack that we saw pretty recently in a recent trailer was actually between Meliodas and Tristan, who do this sort of like combination attack together whilst they're both out at the very same time. And there's not really much information that we know about these skills apart from actually just seeing it in action, and that's pretty much it. So hopefully this will be another form of combo attack that we can do with a lot of different characters. So then the very final gameplay feature that we were actually shown is the fact that multiplayer will of course be in Seven Deadly Sins Origin, which is very, very nice. And in multiplayer you can actually team up with 3 other players and take on, I'm assuming, overworld bosses, do dungeons, do puzzles, and probably just explore the world of Britannia. What is quite interesting as well about multiplayer is when you are playing in it with a lot of different people is the fact that you can actually still use your complete party of 4 team members, which I believe is quite different in some other open world gachas, which does mean in total you could actually have a team of up to 16 different characters, which is pretty damn cool. So then the next very big thing I want to talk about is going to be to do with characters and also the equipments that they can equip, as well as also their weapons, because this is very, very game changing for a lot of different characters. But let's start off with all of the characters that we do know are going to be in the game, because I believe at some point, I think all of the Seven Deadly Sins characters have been present at some point, either in trailers or gameplay or whatever else it may be, which is really cool to know, because I bet loads of people want to play Escanor, including me, so whenever he gets added to the game, that is going to be so sick. I really can't wait for him to come out. And then also, I do believe some of the 4 Knights of the Apocalypse characters as well will also be available in the game, as well as also even original characters, which we were shown in one of the most recent trailers, that there's going to be a lot, probably quite a few original characters. But even more importantly, your character's equipment and also weapons are going to be very important in this game, because characters will be able to equip up to 7 pieces of either equipment, armor, accessories, whatever you want to call it, and also you can equip weapons to them as well. And the way you're going to farm these items is going to be through world bosses, who will drop items after you kill them. And when it comes to the actual bosses themselves, I believe from what I've seen there's at least 5 bosses so far on the current map, and I'm also going to assume that pretty much all of these bosses will probably drop different things to each other, so it'll give you a different reason to farm different bosses, and they will of course be located on different parts of the map, so again you'll have to go over to across the whole map to find them. And then the bosses that were actually shown, I believe there was a bird, there was like this like moss monster, there was a bear monster, a turtle, and also I believe the grey demon as well. But back onto your character's equipment, and when you are equipping a certain amount of armor from a certain set onto your characters, you'll actually actually be able to obtain set bonuses, which will buff stats, damage, and probably a lot more. And as well, your equipment will also have main stats to buff your character's stats. And from what I saw in the gameplay of when the players were actually equipping gear onto their characters, was that the main stats for all of the pieces of equipment always gave HP, which I thought was pretty weird, considering in a lot of gacha games, the main stats for different pieces will give different stats. So who knows, maybe it'll change, but I guess we'll have to see. And when it comes to substats, I believe we didn't actually see if gear pieces could have substats on them, but I'm assuming they actually can, because every piece of gear could be leveled up to 50, so I imagine every 10 levels you'll be able to unlock a new substat for that gear piece, which is where probably a lot of the RNG in this game is going to come from. And where I do really think this game is going to separate itself from the rest of the open world gacha games is going to be with your character's weapons. And from what we saw from character's weapons, these will also give a main stat of HP, but and can also be leveled up to level 10, but I'm assuming will probably be able to be limit broken to go to further levels. And it is very nice that your weapons will give you stats, but what is even better about these weapons is the fact that it can completely change how one of your characters are going to end up playing, because when you equip a certain type of weapon onto your character, it will actually change their abilities and skills that they can use with that weapon. And what's pretty cool as well is the fact that each character can equip 3 different kinds of weapons. So for example, we have Gilthunder here, who can equip a sword and a shield, and also a lance like Hauser can. And when he equips all of these different kinds of weapons, like I did say, he can change his skills and all of his abilities for him to use, which I think will be very, very cool, because hopefully it will allow all of your characters to be used in many different scenarios and hopefully play different roles. Your characters will also be able to equip different costumes, which I'm imagining will probably be a paid for thing, with some of them being free at some points with like events and stuff, which should be pretty cool. And there is also a couple of other tabs that we saw, with one of them being called Mastery, which I'm going to assume is going to be something to do with like leveling up your skills and stuff. And we also had one called Potential, where I think it's probably going to be a somewhat of a system where you can just buff your stats for your characters. And then the final bit of information about the characters in this game is the fact that they themselves will also have levels, which you'll probably increase by just through overworld gameplay and probably using materials. And they will also have a combat power to show how strong your characters actually are, and I'm assuming when it comes to fighting bosses, they will also have a recommended combat power for you. And then when it comes to actually forming a team as well with your characters, you'll be able to see their combined combat power and also their combined HP stats as well. So yeah, that is pretty much essentially everything you need to know for 7 Deadly Sins Origin. There's a couple of other things, like the fact that mounts will be in the game, there's gliding, there'll be fishing, there'll be cooking as well, with cooking probably being a function where you can just eat food and then get bonuses and buffs from it. So yeah, there you have it. That is completely everything that you need to know about 7 Deadly Sins Origin, and if you did enjoy this video or you just found it useful in general, then don't forget to like and subscribe, as I'm going to be covering this game a lot and I can't wait for it to come out, so it should be very, very good. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Peace!